Tonga National Rugby League team. The Tonga National Rugby League team represents Tonga in rugby league football. They are currently the fourth-ranked team in the world. The team was formed to compete in the 1986 Pacific Cup and have competed at 5 Rugby League World Cups, starting in 1995 and continuing consecutively until the most recent tournament in 2017, where they achieved their best ever result as semi-finalists. Formerly administered by the Tonga National Rugby League, the team is now in a state of limbo with administration. They wear a predominantly red uniform with white sides and are associated with the phrase Mate Ma'a Tonga, English, Die for Tonga. They are coached by Australian Kristian Woolf and co-captained by Siua Taukeiaho and Jason Taumalolo. History. Rugby league first gained attention in Tonga when the Pacific Cup was partially held in the country during 1986. After this initial exposure to the Tongan people, several clubs began to form or switch from rugby union to rugby league, and by 1988 the nation had enough depth in their player pool to begin playing national fixtures and end. During that Pacific Cup, the Tongans played in 3 fixtures, winning a sole match while losing the other 2, with their first international victory coming against the American Samoa side, a match that ended 38-14. Over the next 2 years, the national side sporadically played international fixtures, but it was not until the 1992 Pacific Cup when they again began playing with some regularity. At the 1992 Cup competition, the side showed significant improvement on their previous inaugural Cup effort with victories over Cook Islands, Fiji, and the New Zealand Maori. This run of victories earned them a place in the final of the 1992 Pacific Cup against the Western Samoan side, but they eventually lost a close-fought match by 4 points, 18-14. The following tournament 2 years later saw the Tongan side show further improvement with several comfortable victories, again earning them a spot in final of the Pacific Cup, this time against the Fijians, who had never defeated the Tong. The final was a tough affair, but the Mate Ma'a were again victorious over Fiji 34-11 and claimed their maiden Pacific Cup title. During 1995, Tonga qualified for their first World Cup and were seeded in the strong Group B with both New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. While Tonga failed to win a match at the World Cup, they earned respect after they narrowly lost to the New Zealand team by a single point and earned a draw against Papua New Guinea. The next 4 years saw the Tongan side appear in a further Pacific Cup in 1997 and then qualify for the 2000 World Cup with comfortable victories over the Taukeiaho and American Samoa. Prior to appearing at the 2000 competition, the Tongans arranged a friendly fixture against the New Zealand side that they had come so close to defeating during the previous World Cup, but this time faced their heaviest defeat to date. After the heavy defeat to New Zealand, their next international fixture was during their second World Cup, where the Tongans were again placed in another tough group with France, Papua New Guinea again, and South Africa. Tonga faced South Africa in their first match of the tournament, where they were comfortable victors in a 66-18 drubbing. However, the rest of the tournament was not so kind to the Tongan side, with losses to both France and Papua New Guinea, meaning the Tongans again failed to make it past the first stage of the tournament. With a disappointing World Cup behind them, the Mate Ma'a regrouped and again entered the Pacific Cup 4 years later, in 2004. The tournament saw the Tongans again qualify for the tournament final with victories over both the Cook Islands and Fiji, but the side suffered a heavy defeat at the hands of neighboring Samoa 51-18. 2006 saw the Tongan side re-enter the Pacific Cup, where again they performed strongly, qualifying for their second consecutive final, where this time they reversed their previous effort with a strong victory over Fiji 2006 continued to be a busy year of international fixtures for the Tongans, which saw them gain qualification into the 2008 World Cup after they finished top of their Pacific group ahead of the Cook Islands. They also entered the inaugural Federation Shield competition along with England, France, and Samoa, and eventually finished second. England to face Tonga in league final, to the English in the final 32-14. 2013 Pacific Rugby League Test. In April 2013, Tonga took on Samoa in the 2013 Pacific Rugby League Test at Penrith Stadium. The international was created as a World Cup warm-up match. Tonga targeted Samoa's weak defense, and it paid off, thrashing the Toa Samoans by 36-4. 2013 Rugby League World Cup campaign. Tonga automatically qualified for the 2013 Rugby League World Cup after participating in the 2008 tournament. They took on Scotland, Italy, and the Cook Islands in the pool stage. In their first match, they took on the Scots. It was a tight and intense rugby league battle, but Scotland won 26-24. Tonga then went on and beat the Cookies 22-16 and Italy 16-0, but it wasn't enough. Scotland finished the group stage unbeaten, sealing their place in the quarter-final and ending Tonga's World Cup campaign in the process. 2015 Pacific Rugby League Test. In May 2015, Tonga took on Samoa in the 2015 Polynesian Cup at Siua Super Stadium. The international was part of a triple header which also included the Polynesian Cup between Papua New Guinea and Fiji, and the junior Kangaroos against the junior Kiwis. The game was an absolute thriller, with the lead alternating between the teams, and the biggest margin throughout the match was only 6 points. However, there was always going to be one winner in the seesaw affair, and it was Samoa who appended Mate Ma'a Tonga to win the Polynesian Cup by 18-16. 2017 Rugby League World Cup qualifying. In October 2015, Tonga took on the Cook Islands in the Asia-Pacific elimination play-off to determine which of the two Asia-Pacific nations qualified for the 2017 Rugby League World Cup. After a tight first half, Mate Ma'a Tonga went on win the match, scoring 16 points within the last 20 minutes of the game. 2016 Pacific Rugby League Test. In May 2016, Tonga took on Samoa in the 2016 Polynesian Cup at Pirtek Stadium. The international was part of a triple header which also included the Polynesian Cup between Papua New Guinea and Fiji, and the junior Kangaroos against the junior Kiwis. The traditional Pacific rivalry between these two continued as they produced highlights from big hits to powerful meters and try-saving tackles when needed. However, this year's test match saw way more errors than last year's, and Tonga made most of them and failed to capitalize on their 55% of possession, which therefore resulted in a 12-point defeat in the 2016 Polynesian Cup. Tongan Revolution 2017-18. Tonga fielded their strongest ever team at the 2017 World Cup on the back of Jason Taumalolo and Andrew Fifita, choosing to represent their Tongan heritage rather than their respective birthplaces, New Zealand and Australia. Taumalolo, the joint 2016 Dalian medalist, was described by Fox Sports to be the undisputed best forward in the NRL and was expected to be named in the New Zealand squad, while Fifita withdrew from the already named Australian squad. Taumalolo referenced his close relationship with Tongan coach Kristian Woolf and his desire to strengthen the Tongan squad as motivators, while Fifita cited a desire to give back to his father's family. In addition, Manu declined a likely position in the New Zealand squad, while David Fusita, Solomon Kata, Taumalolo, and Siua Taukeiaho dismissed any possibility of a New Zealand recall in order to represent Tonga. With a mixed heritage, Michael Jennings also committed himself to Tonga after knocking back an approach to represent Fiji. Tonga quickly became the most heavily backed team in the World Cup, dropping from $81 odds to $17. Entering into the tournament as the 11th ranked team in the world, Tonga comfortably won their opening two group matches, outclassing Scotland 54 and Samoa 32-18. In their third and final group match, Tonga upset New Zealand 28-22 after trailing 16-2 at halftime. This marked the first time since the introduction of the tiered nation system that a Tier 2 team defeated a Tier 1 team, and the first time since Wales defeated England 1816 in 1995, if applied retroactively. Tonga beat Lebanon 24-22 in a hard-fought quarter-final, but lost 18-20 to England in the semi-final. England were leading 20-0 with 8 minutes remaining before Tonga scored 3 tries in quick succession. However, a contentious refereeing decision on the last play of the game denied them from progressing to the World Cup final. After Tonga's semi-final against England, which was attended by King Tupu VI, 29 November 2018 was declared a public holiday in Tonga as Mate Ma'a Tonga Day, and the entire Tongan squad was invited to the Royal Palace. Each player was honored as Knight Commander of the Most Illustrious Order of Queen Salot Tupu Roman III for their contribution to sports, while Taumalolo and Lolohea were gifted land in their families' respective villages. At the conclusion of the tournament, Tonga jumped to 4th in the Arlif World Rankings. Playing for the Kangaroos is the pinnacle in rugby league. If you make that team, you're up there with the best in the world in your position. But it's a very different feeling playing for Tonga. There's more emotion in the Tongan jersey. You know what your family has been through, and you think about them every time you put it on. Media speculation questioned whether Tonga's star players would return to their Tier 1 nations after the World Cup, assuming they were to be welcomed back. In the months following, Fifita, an incumbent of the New South Wales squad, Tavita Pangai Jr., and Jennings announced they would make themselves unavailable for NSW selection to continue with Tonga, while New Zealand-eligible players Lolohea, Kata, Fusita, and Taumalolo also publicly confirmed their allegiance to Tonga ahead of. Additionally, Adinfonua Blake announced his intention to represent Tonga after playing for New Zealand at the World Cup, commenting, "I really enjoyed my time with the Kiwis, but it just didn't feel like home." As a consequence, New Zealand's squad for their match against England on 24 June 2018 contained just one Tongan-eligible player, Dallin Waitine-Zelezniak, who reportedly pledged his loyalty to the Kiwis to honor his great-grandfather Putty Taiping Waitine, the first married to captain the side. Continued success 2018. In a much-anticipated fixture, Tonga faced Australia for the first time ever on 20 October 2018, losing 34-16. On 22 June 2019, Tonga faced New Zealand again at Mount Smart Stadium as part of the 2019 Osania Cup. The Kiwis won 34-14 in a dominant display. After the NRL season ended, Tonga played against the touring Great Britain on 26 October, winning 14-6 at Waikato Stadium in Hamilton. This was Great Britain's first match after a 12-year hiatus. The following week at Auckland's Eden Park, Tonga faced the Australia in an Osania Cup match. Tonga stunned the world #1 nation, winning 16-12. This match was labeled one of the greatest upsets in rugby league history, marking the first time Australia had lost to a Tier 2 nation since 1978. Jason Taumalolo rated the win above his NRL Grand Final victory with the North Queensland Cowboys in 2015. Tonga will compete at the 2021 Rugby League World Cup in England, having qualified automatically as semi-finalists of the 2017 tournament. Players. Current squad. The Tonga national team squad for the 2019 Osania Cup and 2019 Great Britain Lions Tour. Notable former players. 2021 player pool. NRL. Super League. International results. The following table underneath shows Tonga's all-time rugby league results record. Matches include those played as the Tonga Invitational Roman 13 side. They have been participating in international fixtures since 1986. Tonga have played 86 internationals, with the most recent being played on 2 November 2019 against Australia. Plus includes matches played as Tonga Invitational. Coaching history. Also see category Tonga National Rugby League team coaches. Honors: Pacific Cup 21,994, 2006. Kit supplier: Tonga's kit suppliers are ISC since 2018. Classic 1995 RLWC, Mitre 2000 RLWC, Combat 2004-2005, Cougat 2006, 2012, and FITA 2013-2018 were previous suppliers. As of 2019, the current kit supplier is Dynasty Sport.